This video will be about the manga Love Me Not. The general plot is good. However, the movie feels a bit rushed. Especially since two love stories were squeezed in a 100-minute film. Thus it was not able to capture entirely the character developments of one of the couple, the popular boy Yamamoto Rio and the innocent and shy girl Ichihara Yuna. Here are various manga panels that did not make it in the final cut. This highlights why their relationship has more depth than what was seen in the movie. This would illustrate further the ripening of the couple's feelings and the kind of love they share. Their love story begins with Yuna, who is dazedly walking in the street, because she just recently parted with her best friend, and Rio stopping her in time to save her from stepping on dog poop. Yes, that's the fateful first meeting. Yuna is immediately mesmerized by him because his physique reminded her of her first love, the prince in her childhood picture book, a tall and handsome boy with golden hair. She gets more thrilled when she learns that he attends the same school as she does, he is her neighbor in the same compound, and is the brother of her new female bestie, Akari. Their next rendezvous is when Rio crosses paths with her and asks if she is the one who sent him a love letter and requests to meet on that place. The letter is definitely not from Yuna, so she said no. Even though she already likes him, she says nothing about it. At that time, she is not courageous enough to confess, especially to a guy who is as popular to the girls as Rio. He is quite relieved with her answer and unthinkingly replied that it is good to hear, because he plans to reject the sender of the letter. This embarrasses Yuna. She bows her head and stares at the ground. She feels like she is the one being rejected. Upon noticing this, he lifts her face with both his hands. He studies her face carefully and tells her she should not look at the ground so much. The next day, he intentionally waits for her. After being told off by his sister for his rude behavior, he apologizes to Yuna. He made it seem like he was rejecting her when she was not even the one who sent the letter. He also calls her by her first name. In return, he enjoins her to call him by his first name as well. More significantly, he asks her if they could be friends. There may be no sparks between them yet, but this tells us that Rio feels a connection with her, even if it's a platonic one for now. He is highly favored by the girls, so there is really no need to befriend a shy girl like her. And yet, he does. Now, due to certain circumstances, Akari got entangled with a bad rumor in school. And Yuna wants to clear her name. She confronts the affected party, but it takes a lot of effort on her end, because she really is a very soft-spoken person. However, she holds her ground and stands up for Akari. She is so cool that Rio compliments her about it. He even brands her as a superstar. In the manga, their conversation does not just end there. They regularly talk far longer than that. They also chat about their crushes, and Yuna ends up blurting out that the guy she likes would probably think she is beneath him. Rio, who is clueless that he is the guy Yuna is pertaining to, angrily says that he is a good-for-nothing person if he thinks that way about her. There are more manga panels where the two of them would spend time together and engage in casual talks. Their friendship really blooms in the manga. This is something not highlighted in the movie. Another indication that they have started to become comfortable with each other was when Yuna saw Rio and another girl appearing to be quarreling. Yuna is able to approach him to check if he is fine. He answers yes, and that the feelings were not that deep anyway. He explains also that he is not the type to dwell on a girl and run after her. Although the two have gotten a bit close already, Akari still wants to help Yuna spend more time with Rio, so she sets them up with a tutoring schedule at their home. No studying happened when they get sidetracked with another confession letter that Rio received during his train ride. Yuna advises him that he should give these girls a chance. But Rio emphasizes that if there is no possibility of a future with a girl, then giving a proper rejection is necessary. This allows the other person not to wander aimlessly and to move on without regrets. This points how important the ideology of confession and getting an answer is for Rio. Regardless if it is a rejection or acceptance of feelings. And so they continue to talk about the people they both like and the reasons why they could not confess to that person. The next moment, we see Akari's mom panicking when she thought Rio was with Akari alone in the room. Akari gets furious because of her mom's line of thought. Rio, though, was very level-headed. In the manga, he pacifies Akari. And worries that this is overwhelming Yuna, who looks really confused because of all the drama. Yuna is indeed shocked by the realization that the two are not blood siblings. Furthermore, that the girl Rio was not able to confess to was actually Akari. It is because for that reason that they should treat each other as a brother and sister despite having different real parents. In the movie, we see Rio and Yuna walking home the next day, discussing how awkward it would be to continue studying together at Ryo's house. At the same time, he asks her to keep his secret about Akari. In the manga, Rio and Yuna actually continued their tutoring engagement in the school library. And when Ryo's female classmates ask to join them, he suddenly ends their study session and pretends to have a headache. Later on, he explains to Yuna his reasons. He believes that Yuna won't be at ease in a group study and would end up not asking him questions if things were unclear to her. It appears that although he is still engrossed with his Akari situation, he still cares for Yuna's welfare. On their usual walk home, rain then pours down, which leads them to run towards some cover under the bridge. While they wait for the rain to stop, Rio tells Yuna how frustrating he feels that he is not given the chance to tell Akari about his feelings when they were in middle school. The timing was all wrong because the day he was about to confess was the same day his father introduces her mom as his new marriage partner. So he is forced to keep his emotions inside all these time. He then encourages Yuna to free herself and confess her feelings to the guy she has been mentioning to him. So she won't have the same regrets. And if she gets rejected, then he will do his best to be there and comfort her. Yuna grabs this opportunity to finally confess to Rio, despite knowing that she will be rejected. He is shocked to say the least. He never expected him to be the person that Yuna was describing. It pains him knowing he had been so insensitive to her when he keeps pouring his bitterness towards another girl. But Yuna tells him to reject her now so that she could finally move on and be the friend that could be there for him. Rio painfully faces her, thanks her for her sentiment and gently apologizes since he cannot accept her feelings for him. After Yuna's confession, the phasing of the movie becomes quite fast. We see them planning for the school festival and attending the neighborhood summer festival. Yuna and Rio are also talking to each other casually as though they have already moved on. We also get introduced to one of Ryo's friends, Agatsuma, who shows romantic interests for Yuna. But prior to pursuing her, he asks permission from Rio if it is okay, to which Rio finds to be quite weird. So without showing it on screen, Rio is probably conveying his attraction for Yuna. He is not just aware of it, but other people are. In the manga however, Rio and Yuna went through a process before they could go back to the way they used to be. There are numerous times that Yuna snubs his efforts to interact at first. Not because of anger, but rather she just does not know how to handle it. Rio and Yuna are both very close friends. After being rejected she struggles on how to move forward and face him. Finally, with her strong will of wanting to be his friend again, she gathers her courage and approaches him in the cafeteria. However, she still ends up frozen. This leads to one of Ryo's friends, Shiba, to tease her that she's one of those girls who wishes to confess to Rio. But Yuna blurts out that she already got rejected by him. Shiba then accuses her as a stalker. His attitude towards Yuna angers Rio and starts a fight. Good thing Kazu is there and is able to clear things up. Yuna finally talks to Rio again and he feels really relieved about it. It is obvious he must have missed her presence. Rio then creates review notes for Yuna and asks Akari to hand it over to Yuna without saying it is from him. But obviously, Yuna finds out because she knows his penmanship. So since it is no longer a secret, he offers Yuna that they could go over it and review together. He also teases her about her kid pictures, which he saw when he hanged out with Kazu in his room. Yuna still gets flustered with Rio, making it obvious that she still has feelings for him. So when she accidentally bumps into him in school and her hair gets caught in his button, she almost died due to intense blushing. And this also embarrasses Rio. Although still heartbroken, Yuna attends a group date for her own growth. In here, she gets formally introduced to Agatsuma. Back in school, all the first-year students were instructed to run a track. Yuna encourages Akari to run like a windmill because that's the kind of girls her crush, Kazu, likes. So Akari ran like hell to impress him. Later on, Yuna learns from Rio that Akari is not feeling well that morning. So Yuna, who is at her physical limit already, implores Rio to run after her to make sure that she is fine. And as she looks at Rio's back, she fell on her knees trying to catch her breath. She is having mixed emotions of relief and heartbrokenness as Rio runs for the girl he wants to confess to but can't. To her surprise, Rio comes back for her and asks if she is okay. It may not be obvious, but even though Rio has not entertained whatever feelings or thoughts he could have for Yuna at this point, he also gives importance to her. After this incident, the next turning point on Rio's conflicted feelings for Akari is when he kisses her under the rain. The next day, he tells Yuna about it, gets scolded by her by selfishly thinking about himself only. Lastly, She makes him promise to face Akari properly. Her reprimand shakes something inside of him, as though an awakening and breaking through a childish immaturity that has kept him shackled all along. He goes home and sincerely apologizes to Akari. This finally brings clarity and acceptance of their sibling relationship. After that, the movie shows a scene of Rio looking at Yuna's picture and reminiscing the summer festival that they all attended with Akari, Kazu, and Agatsuma. However, in the manga, so many significant things actually happened after the clingy kiss. So yes, in the panels, Rio also gets told off by Yuna when he confides in her. But his frustration still builds up. Aside from being deprived from confessing, he also feels denied to settle things with her when she keeps on avoiding him. Their quarrels become evident in school already, until one student points out that since they're not blood siblings, maybe they are having a lover's quarrel. Rio, who is about to burst in anger, with his patience also running out, is stopped by Yuna. She calls that student childish. She then pulls Rio outside school, and when they reach the park, she gives Rio a piece of her mind, and she did not hold back. This is when her words really get through him this. And although the whole situation is supposed to be about Rio, instead, he points out the changes in Yuna. He said he is envious on how much she has matured compared to him. She really has grown up and he feels left behind. His words sounded more like it's directed at him, like a personal admittance that he is just being childish and plain stubborn. And that him holding on to his frustration about confessing is just him being immature. After contemplating, he tells Yuna he now knows what to do and that he will report back to her right after. And so he goes home like in the movie, apologizes to Akari, and makes peace with the past. In school, Rio, as promised, updates Yuna. He tells her that he finally is able to let go, and that he felt he was just being hard-headed. He acknowledges her for opening his eyes. He then jokes her in giving him a hug as a reward for his actions and mature thinking. Yuna takes it seriously and blushes. Rio laughs saying he is just teasing her. He seems like he is really fine. But Yuna has doubts, that maybe Rio is just trying to look alright. So when she hears someone inviting him to a group date, she thought that maybe he has been going out with different girls just to hide his pain. And that idea makes her gloomy. So it is a nice surprise for Yuna to see him at his home that day when she was hanging out with Akari. Apparently, he is not interested in going to any group dates. She feels even happier when he says her curled hair looks cute on her. As Rio walks out with her later on, he asks why she was looking gloomy in school. Yuna feels touched that Rio actually noticed her mood earlier. That night, as Yuna prepares for her sleep, she prays to dream of Rio. And so we are transcended into a dream where Rio is waiting for Yuna in a park. It appears they are going out on a date. When Yuna meets him, he says that she looks cute. He then teases her if he could hug her. But he gets flustered when Yuna actually said yes to it. The dream ended with them kissing. Yuna then wakes up and disappointingly tells herself that it is not possible to dream of someone even if you pray hard for it. In his own room, Rio wakes up, blushing and shaken. It turns out it was actually his dream. This begins Rio's arc of being awkwardly in love and the journey on his many firsts before he could face his true feelings for Yuna and confess. The movie, however, only shows Rio realizing his yearning for Yuna when she discovers him hiding his prince cosplay during the school festival. He tells Agatsuma first about it as courtesy to him. He then searches for Yuna and confesses his love. Snippets of them as a couple is reeled until the film finally ends. In the manga, the day he dreams Yuna, Rio goes to school still worked up about it. When they see each other in the corridor, they talk briefly. But Rio feels conscious. He wonders if he spoke properly and why he feels nervous. Shiba notices him lost in though and asks if he is worried over a bad grade. Rio shows his high score. He then asks what it means to dream of a girl that he does not really think of. Shiba interprets it that he subconsciously like that girl. Agatsuma interrupts and says that to immediately conclude you like that girl is a bit biased because the mind is like a bag filled with memories, and that is maybe the reason for seeing her in his dreams. He then proceeds to ask what happened in his dream and if he wants it in real life. Rio remembers the kiss and covers his blushing face. His friends tease him if it's a perverted dream and asks who the girl is, but he gives no name. After class, Rio hangs out in Kazu's house, who is also their neighbor. They hear a knock on his window. When Kazu opens the window he sees Yuna. Rio's eyes automatically shoots up to look at her. Yuna casually borrows a movie from behind the window bars. Rio observes that it seems they do this on a normal basis and feels a little bit jealous of their closeness. He lowers his head back to his game and pretends to act nonchalant. In school, Akari plans to attend the summer festival in their neighborhood with Kazu. Kazu says he will go if Rio goes as well. So she tells Yuna it's her assignment to invite Rio. But when she finds him discussing someone with a girl, she overhears her inviting him on the same event. As she turns back disappointed that someone else got to him first, she bumps into Agatsuma and Shiba. They ask her if she needs something from Rio. She replies that it is something about the summer festival. Agatsuma inquires if Yuna is going and says he wants to go as well. Yuna panics as this is turning out to be a disaster since it should be Rio she is asking to join. She mumbles that she is going with Akari and Kazu and added Ryo's name in a rather loud but stuttering voice. Rio replies behind her that he hears his name and says he is just right behind her. Yuna, surprised by him, is left speechless. Rio carries on saying that Kazu already informed him of the summer festival details and will be joining them. Yuna, confused, asks about the girl earlier. He says he already declined her. Yuna is happy that she has secured Ryo's presence in the festival and waves goodbye. The three boys walk into Kazu, who calls out to Rio. He starts to ask him if he is free to join them in the summer festival. Rio immediately runs to him and cuts him off saying that he is going. He gaslights Kazu into believing that he already invited him earlier. In reality, Rio only eavesdropped on Yuna earlier and pretended that Kazu already invited him. At home, Yuna brings a watermelon to Kazu's place. She knocks on his window and is surprised to be greeted by Rio instead. He eyes her carefully and asks if she always goes to Kazu like this. She replies not all the time, but he casts her a doubtful look. Kazu enters the room and tells Yuna to meet him by the door so he could get the watermelon. Yuna smiles at Rio and leaves. Alone, Rio slumps on the floor. He questions himself if he is just thinking too much of his dream. Lately, he has been too aware and too conscious of Yuna. He wonders if this is just a temporary feeling as he initially thought. He lectures himself that not too long ago, he has been sharing his bitterness towards another girl to Yuna. And perhaps he is moving on too fast. Plus he already rejected her. He tries to ask Kazu for advice but immediately retracts it. When summer festival came, Rio goes down of their compound to wait for everyone. He blushes when he sees Yuna in a yukata. He shyly tells her it looks good on her. As they walk around the festival, Agatsuma, who invited himself, joins them. Rio sees a cute mask and thinks to himself it looks like Yuna. At the same time, Agatsuma, referring to the same mask, exclaims that it looks like Yuna and if he could buy it for her. But Rio says there is no need because he already bought it and gives it to Yuna. When it is time to eat, Agatsuma and Yuna were tasked to stay on a bench to save it while the other three buy the food. The two talks about how they first met in a group date. He tells her that since that day, it has become easier to talk to her. She acknowledges Akari and Rio for her personality growth. She also smiles and thanks him that he also contributed to the change in her. Agatsuma feels touched and happy. After buying food, Akari gets separated from Kazu and Rio. Kazu gets worried and wonders why Rio is not looking concerned. He leaves him to search for Akari. Rio, on the other hand, has his eyes fixed ahead on Agatsuma and Yuna laughing together. Without listening to another word from Kazu, he walks up quickly to the two, who he irritatingly feels are too close to each other. But when he reaches them, he says nothing. He stares at them contemplating that he has no right to say anything against them. Agatsuma finally notices him and tells Rio that since he is back, he will quickly go to the toilet. While Rio and Yuna wait for the others, the girl from school that Rio declined going to the festival with appears. She looks confused to see him there and greets Yuna. Her companions ask who Yuna is. Rio answers that she goes to their school too. They may just not recognize her because she is in a yukata and her hair is styled differently. Yuna just keeps quiet but feels Rio is covering for her. Suddenly, Agatsuma is back and inquires who these girls are. The girls excuse themselves and walk away. Yuna utters a soft thank you for covering for her. Agatsuma thinks she is directing it to him. Rio also thinks she was thanking Agatsuma and feels a bit disappointed. Going home, Rio and Yuna are left alone together in the elevator. He presses Yuna's floor and feels reluctant to part ways. His eyes widen when Yuna tells him it feels somehow sad. His mind races on where he could still bring Yuna considering it is already late. But before he could reply, Yuna completes her sentence stating that it feels sad that the festival is ending. Rio sighs in disappointment that he thought wrong but also relieved that he did not say anything weird. When they reach Yuna's floor, Yuna smiles sweetly at him and exits the elevator. Before the door closes, she turns around, lifts the mask he gave her and thanks him for it again. He notices how she didn't bow down, rather she looked straight at him. He waves goodbye thinking she really has changed already. He closes his eyes in exasperation, agonizing on the idea that Yuna most likely doesn't think about him anymore. Still in vacation, Rio spends some of his days hanging out with Shiba and Agatsuma, but his mind is still filled with Yuna. Agatsuma talks about Yuna being more confident lately. Rio, as if competing with him, says to himself that he has noticed that a long time ago before anyone else. He listens to Agatsuma continuing to describe Yuna. Rio butts in telling more things about her. He even brags that she once scolded him. He then flops himself on bed, regretting sharing those things because it is somehow better if he is the only one who knows her other side. Shiba imagines Agatsuma and Yuna dating and says they seem to match. Rio keeps silent but he is feeling more and more irritated. Shiba then teases Rio that if he and Yuna instead starts going out, he would pity Yuna because it would be difficult to get along with Rio. While the two laugh, he looks at Agatsuma and also believes that he is a good guy and Yuna will be more happy with someone like him. This makes him even more depressed. Back in school, Yuna shares some homemade cookies to Akari. They also bump into Agatsuma who says he is happy to see everyone back. Walking in the corridor, Rio and Kazu see the three talking. Rio changes direction in a bad mood thinking that Shiba is right to say that Yuna and Agatsuma look good together. He slumps on the floor, confused on what he should do. He is afraid to take the next steps with Yuna because if his feelings end up as a spur of the moment then he might hurt her. When Rio reaches his classroom, he sees Agatsuma munching. He announces proudly that Yuna gave him some homemade cookies. Shiba teases him that receiving handmade food means he got a confession. Rio tenses upon hearing it and waits for Agatsuma's reply. He is relieved to hear that Agatsuma didn't get any confession but would be happy if he did. Rio remains quiet but obviously agitated. After class, he walks alone along the shoe lockers. Yuna calls out to him. Still bothered by the earlier incident, he looks at her in a bad mood. Yuna asks if he is not feeling well. Rio instantly changes his expression saying he is totally fine. He tells himself he cannot just be mad and ask her all of a sudden why would she give Agatsuma some cookies. Yuna disrupts his thoughts by handing him a bag of cookies. He is so surprised. Yuna tells him it is a thank you for the mask he gave her during the festival. She added that while baking, she burned quite a lot of batches but wrapped all the good ones and gave them to various people. She points though, that the ones she is giving him are the best cookies. Rio suddenly becomes serious. He confirms with her again, if he really is getting the best ones. Yuna smiles sincerely at him and tells him again that yes, he got the best ones. Rio looks at her intently and thinks to himself that regardless of the dream he had, it just doesn't matter anymore. It is very clear to him now that he likes Yuna, the Yuna who is standing in front of him at that moment. He invites her to walk home together. Later that day, Rio who is on his way out to meet Yuna, sees Kazu in his room with a girl. Rio, who knows that Akari has a crush on Kazu, feels a bit conflicted for her. He ends up mumbling that he cannot let Akari know about it. Yuna, hearing Akari's name, mistakes it as Rio still heartbroken over her. Rio, surprised that Yuna still thinks that, explains to her that he has completely dealt his situation with Akari. When he reflected on it, he realized it was just his pride of not being able to voice out what he felt. He dwelled on that too much. So he tells her that she should not have worried too about that. He thanks her for scolding him and pulling him out of that hole before it became an obsession. He looks at her and gives in to embracing her. When he realizes what he did, he instantly stands back as an apology for surprising her. Yuna asks what is that hug all about. Rio says it is an affectionate hug. Innocent Yuna replies with it is a hug like the ones she normally shares with Akari. Rio gently bumps his head on her, wanting to correct her. He keeps his face close to her thinking how much he wants to proceed with an I love you kiss. But he immediately stops himself deciding that he must properly confess to her first. As he takes the courage to profess his love, Yuna's phone sounded. She reads a message from Agatsuma who is seeking her help in buying the appropriate gift for his younger sister. This worries Rio. He tries to think back as to when Agatsuma got so close to Yuna. The next day, he confronts Agatsuma about his feelings. Agatsuma scratches his head and chuckles shyly that he does like Yuna. In the classroom, Rio watches as Agatsuma and Yuna talk about the gift for his sister. Shiba stands next to him and smiles that Agatsuma seems to really like Yuna. Rio remains silent but does not remove his gaze from the two. He realizes that if the two starts dating, he might not have the confidence to support and smile in front of them. He continues to contemplate his feelings the whole day. He believes Agatsuma really is a good person. He also cannot deny that he and Yuna look good together. But as he and Agatsuma leave on separate ways to go home, he pauses on his track, turns and calls out on Agatsuma. As soon as he turns, he saw Agatsuma already facing him, as if knowing that Rio will call out to him. Rio takes a moment before speaking. He raises his head, looks Agatsuma in the eyes and declares to him that he likes Yuna as well. Shiba looks surprised, but Agatsuma only smiles at Rio, saying that he finally admitted it. He says that he already noticed it, but now that he is finally telling them about it, then he is already serious about it. Rio apologizes to Agatsuma, but he confidently states that he is the one who can make Yuna smile the most. Agatsuma accepts the challenge as he thinks he is the one who can do that instead. The school festival begins with Yuna going around their school holding a stamp card with various types of people. She wonders what type of costume Rio would be wearing so she could get a stamp from him. Her only clue is that Rio dislikes the costume assigned to him and will surely be in a place with very few people. Rio sits quietly behind a tree to hide from the crowd. He notices Yuna walking alone. As much as he wants to call out to her, he is too embarrassed to show her his costume. But when he sees her getting hurt from a tree branch, he runs to check on her. She says it is just a small cut, but he leans over to make sure. When they realize how close their faces are, the two get flustered and awkwardly turn their faces forward. Finally, Yuna asks why he doesn't want to be found. Rio points to his prince costume as being too lame, but Yuna exclaims that he looks cool. Rio doesn't believe her, but Yuna insists that he looks like the prince of her first love. Rio gets stunned by the phrase first love. Yuna explains that it is a picture book from when she was little. The prince really looks similar to him. This makes Rio very happy, but he tries to remain cool in front of Yuna. He pretends to be unaffected by her words and tells her softly that her hair looks cute. As if on cue, a student on the second floor accidentally knocks over a basket of confetti. It flies beautifully around Rio and Yuna. Akari, who is walking in the area, accidentally sees the moment and snaps a picture of it. She sends it to Yuna, asking her permission if she could post it on the bulletin board of the photography club. Yuna, knowing she is being teased, reacts that Akari is saying weird things, but Rio looks at her and asks if Yuna doesn't like it. She blushes but gives Akari a thumbs up. On the second day of the festival, Rio dresses up on the same costume, but this time, his classmates notices that he is no longer crawling in embarrassment. Rio remembers Yuna describing him as cool and now it makes him more confident. His classmates then jokes if he will keep his costume until the night festival. Rio says no, it is common knowledge that the night festival is famous for love confessions, and that many students become a couple after the activity. Yuna sees him roaming around in prince costume. Rio says he is fine with it now, all thanks to Yuna. Although, some people think it's lame and funny, what matters is that Yuna thinks it's cool, and that is more than enough for him. Yuna reaffirms her opinion of him that his cosplay looks good on him. Rio, however, says he will definitely change later because the outfit is really impossible for the night festival. Yuna is aware of what happens during the night festival. She assumes Rio dressing up properly later means he is probably going to confess to a certain girl. Later in the afternoon, Agatsuma sees Yuna chatting with Shiba. When he gets near them, Shiba playfully snatches his handcuff props and locks his and Yuna's hand together. Shiba laughs at his tactics, but with the number of students cramping in the corridor, Yuna loses her balance. Agatsuma catches her since her wrist is locked in the handcuff with him. Their closeness makes him blush. Shiba, though, realizing the danger he has caused both of them, rushes to retrieve the key. Agatsuma says it is in the supplies box. Rio returns to their classroom and finds Shiba crouching in the supplies box, desperately looking for something. Shiba narrates what he did earlier. Rio, who feels annoyed by what he did, helps him find the key. While waiting for Shiba, the two moves to a more private place to avoid getting knocked over. Agatsuma holds Yuna's hand, stating that it is safer for them to walk that way, but Yuna hesitates and removes her hand. She explains that if the girl Agatsuma likes sees them holding hands, she might get the wrong idea. He returns her concern if she instead has a guy she likes. She answers yes, but that person does not see her in a romantic light. He takes this opportunity to invite her to the night festival. He then slowly takes a key out of his pocket. He apologizes for not telling earlier that he has the key all this time, but he just wants to spend more time with her. He also wants to openly hold hands with her. Back in the classroom, Shiba gets a message from Agatsuma that he doesn't need to look for the key. He updates Rio, who is looking worried. He changes back to his uniform and waits for Agatsuma to come back. When he did, Rio anxiously hangs on to what he will say next. He brings Rio outside and tells him that he finally confessed to Yuna and got rejected. Before Rio could exhale in relief, he added that Yuna already has someone she likes, and it seems she will confess to him that night. Rio panics. He drops on the floor, afraid, dejected and completely lost in thoughts. After a few moments of silence, he gathers his strength, stands tall, and declares it is not over for him yet. He says that he has not said anything to her yet. He may not have the control on who she likes, but he still needs to tell her how he feels. He then runs off to find for her. He searches all the room he passes. When he stumbles on Kazu, he desperately shakes him if he know where Yuna is. He informs him that she is no longer in their classroom and might be in the courtyard where the night festival will occur. Upon hearing this, he dashes out towards her direction, but the courtyard is already filled with many students. He roams around trying to find her, until finally someone reaches out to him from behind. It is Yuna. He tries to turn around to face her but Yuna holds onto his clothes to keep him from looking at her. She says she wants to tell him something at that very moment. Rio finally calms down and listens to her. She starts by thanking him. He once said she has changed from the first time they met. She believes that as well. And when she confessed to him, it was really a huge thing for her because it took a lot of courage. And yes, she got rejected. She was sad and cried a lot. But still he continued to talk to her as a friend and that really encouraged her. Now she likes herself more than she did in the past. Rio stops her monologue and urges that they face each other especially since she is saying such beautiful things. In his heart, he feels sad and afraid that even though she is telling him this, she is going to leave him for another guy. He insists that he wants to see her face. It is the only face he wants to see in the world right now. Yuna hesitates but slowly lets go of his clothes. He turns and faces her. She apologizes for disturbing him because she knew he was looking for someone when she suddenly grabbed him. Rio admits that he was indeed looking for someone, and that someone was her. She looks at him confused. He continues that initially, he planned to accept her confessing to someone else, and so he just wanted her to know his real feelings. But now that he has seen her, he doesn't want to let her go. He wants her to say she likes him. He doesn't want her going to someone else. And lastly he finally confesses that he likes her. He will treasure her the most. Yuna is shocked. But when she finds her voice, she tells him that she was looking for him because she decided, despite the slight confidence that was left in her, she still wants to tell him once again that she likes him. Rio cannot contain himself. Feeling like a big boulder has been lifted off his shoulder, he embraces her tightly. Unable to believe what he is hearing, he asks her if what she is saying is real. She says yes and adds an apology for being so persistent about him. Rio closes his eyes and says he is just as guilty. He then places his forehead over her and tenderly asks her to please look after him starting that day. After they confess, the two remains together in school even when the night festival reaches its end. Rio asks why Yuna has been quiet. Yuna says she is still unable to believe what happened earlier and everything feels like a dream. He sees her reaction as adorable and is really fighting the urge not to kiss her. He contemplates that as much as he wants to be affectionate, he does not want to pressure her in any way. He is busy fighting with himself when Yuna reveals there is something she wants to do with Rio. His heart starts to beat wildly, and so he waits anxiously for what she is about to request. Her face is so red as she looks at him with bashful eyes. She hesitates and continues that she is embarrassed to say her wish out loud. Rio blushes as well as he is wanting a kiss. He tells her that it is okay because he is thinking about the same thing too. Yuna covers her face and extends her hand to him. She whispers that she really wants to hold hands with Rio. Rio looks at her hand, and is initially confused. When he finally understands, although slightly disappointed, he is genuinely happy. He blushes and cannot believe that his heart is stirred even with just them holding each other's hand. As he turned to tell her that this is the first time he is experiencing it, Yuna already overheats with the overwhelming feeling. Her heart just can't take it anymore.
For numerous side stories on Yuna and Rio as a lovey-dovey couple, simply drop a comment below, because they still have a lot of firsts to experience: first date, first quarrel, first holidays. And despite Rio being popular, this is also his first time to be truly in love. So with his awkwardness and Yuna's innocence, there are plenty of moments as they navigate their relationship growth up until they reach college and their promise of forever. Thanks for watching.